What's up, everybody? This is Raph, and I'm bringing you a special look at unseen footage of City of the Wolves, SNK's latest fighting game. This was recorded during EVO 2024, featuring myself as Marco and my friend Scrubeks, who's playing as Vox. I'm grateful that SNK gave me a chance to sit down with the game and try it out and really get a feel for how this game will play. And I'm really looking forward to this game releasing in April later this year. A 4-button fighter from SNK, 2 punches and 2 kicks, with a lot of different mechanics available on different buttons that really flesh out this system, making it for a very high octane and unique experience. Movement is crisp, fluid, with characters having a mix of runs, dashes, short hops, full jumps, back dashes, and more. Big thanks to the developers for showcasing some of the combos of the characters, and you can see how fluid the action is. With a combination of strikes, links, rev arts, rev excels, breaks, and more, combos can really flourish and you can really showcase your style by busting out some big damage.
Just getting started.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the game get into people's hands and to seeing what kind of combos and routes they'll come up with. But let's look at some of the mechanics in the game. One of the ones that was very prevalent in Garou Mark the Wolves are the dodge attacks. Dodge attacks come in 2 flavors, high crush and low crush. There you see Marco's button getting stuffed by the high crush from Vox. And here you're going to see Marco's sweep losing to the universal overhead, or there's another one of those dodge attacks. When you successfully dodge attack against your opponent, it will give him into a slowdown and give him a wild punish scenario. So you see here, me attempting to go for the high dodge over the low, and that leads to a small combo there. So you can use that to evade your opponent's attacks if they're playing in a way that's easy to read. Another unique thing you see in some of the characters is they'll have air strings when it comes to their jump attacks. So here with Marco, I'll do jump B into jump A, and that'll be a small little combo. You can use that for jump-ins or air-to-airs to keep your opponents on their toes or to guarantee a hit. You'll see here though that Scrubeks is going to go for the air JD to be able to defend against it and even get a punish as well. So good defense can triumph over even strings like this. One of the new important aspects that I saw in City of the Wolves are the auto combo attacks. These are going to be, like some other fighting games, pressing the same button in sequential order will let your character do a full attack string, forcing your opponent to guard all the way throughout. What's unique about the auto combos in City of the Wolves is they end with different variants. You have the standard ender, which will knock your opponents away and knock them down. You have a low ender, which is your character's sweep, and you have a high ender, which is an overhead. One thing to note is the standard and low enders will actually combo if you do the full auto combo, whereas the high ender, your opponent's able to block. So keep that in mind when you're using these to press your advantage against your opponent and try to catch them off guard. Other players might think that auto combos are kind of more for beginners, but I feel like in City of the Wolves, they will have their use not just in a way to put more pressure and try to get a guard break on your opponent, but to build up their rev gauge and try to put them into a burnout state. So something to keep in mind if you're heavy onto blocking. But there are answers to defending against the auto combos you see from characters, and we'll go into that a little bit later in this video. But you kind of see there, Scrubeks going for the auto combo into the high, does not fully combo. But when we talk about defense against auto combos in just a moment, you'll see that that's actually a way of keeping them safe. There's also some variants of the auto combos. There's a short variant and the longer variant, so you can mix up the amount of hits within them, which can be useful to stop your opponents from trying to defend against it correctly, or if they try to use the hyper guard to bust out and punish you.
Round 2. Get ready.
So now, in the next example, you're going to see just how punishable the auto combos are. So the standard ender, just getting punished by a light attack, there from Scrubeks. The low ender, which does have a little more pushback because of the amount of hits within it, it is still punishable, so you want to experiment with different punishes depending on the kind of auto combos once you're dealing with it. And you already see that Vox is an overheat, so he had defended a little too long against the auto combos, which built up a lot of that gauge and eventually forced the guard break. Red Blow's another tool that you can use during auto combos to keep your auto combos going up a little longer, as well as to help push your opponent's guard gauge as well as their rev gauge up. There you see Scrubeks busting out with just a small little combo there. You can even use supers as ways to punishing as well, so you have some options depending on different characters, so make sure you give them a shot.
Just getting started.
Now just going into the corner here, I'm going to take a look at just multiple hits. You can use hyper defense to break out of that, as holding forward or down forward while you're blocking will allow you to get out of guard stun against multi-hit attacks, which is a really good tool to use against players who would be using auto combos. So don't just default it to a very strong tactic, but if you're depending on how your opponent's guarding, you can use these as a way to really put on pressure. Next up are throws. Throws, like any other fighting game, unblockable attacks that lead to a knockdown against your opponent unless you press an advantage. Throws are always going to be really strong because they have a pretty decent startup in this game. And like other fighting games, you can tick throw by doing a nice advantageous close slide attack and then going for your grab afterwards. Which slide attack that is, maybe a stand A, usually like a stand B, may push them too far away, so you want to find whichever button leaves you closest so that you can grab your opponent and get that damage. Note that your opponent can always tech out of your throws if they read it right and get a good distance away from you, so you couldn't lose your offense, like most other fighting games, if your opponent's able to tech your grab. But there are other ways to avoid getting ticked on like that, which can at least keep you at a safer position, so you're not having to eat either a bad guess or free damage. Rev Guard, which also helps with defense, you might not be able to tech a throw during it, but if you rev guard opponent's tick throw, you'll be pushed far away enough that they will not be able to get a grab unless they move forward. Another way to be, once you get into your opponent's head about forcing them to grab, you can use the dodge to go over their grab attempt and get a counter hit, which allowed you into that wild punish and a free combo. So adds another layer to the throw mix-up that you might see in City of the Wolves. Attacking throws, I mentioned earlier, puts you and your opponent at a good distance away, and from our experiments during the Evo build, both players are at the same advantage once a throw is teched, so neither player gets to act first. But that may change in the beta and the final version. Next up is Rev Excels, that is canceling your Rev Art into another Rev Art. That will build up your Rev gauge very, very high, just like Red Blow does as well. This game is going to really make it so you have to pay attention to your meter, that Rev gauge, because there are so many attacks and tactics that will increase it besides Rev Arts, Rev Excels, even guard cancels will also raise it up. So while a nice just defend may lower your rev gauge a little bit, going for a guard cancel will actually cost you some of your rev gauge. So keep that in mind, just in case you don't overheat yourself and put yourself in a position where you're going to have to take a lot of offense. That's just a sample of the many cool things to look forward to in City of the Wolves. I'm excited for the beta that's coming up this week in February, and of course the full game coming out in April is gonna be a blast. I hope to see you all in the City of the Wolves. It's gonna be a fantastic time. Thanks for watching, and see you in the city streets.
Wait.